We're here for more Throne of Eldraine spoiler. Wait. What's this? Oh, did we hit 19K? Oh, baby. Let's do some spoilers. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Welcome to another Throne of Eldraine spoiler video. And we have just crested over 19K. Do you know what that means? Well, it means a celebration involving all of this goodness and another mystery object that's back there. But you know what we'll do? We'll cover that at the end of the video as a nice way of ending it off. So, in short, let me say, thanks for 19K, my friends. We shall move the guilds at the end of the video and talk about that goodness. But for now, let's talk about the goodness of the cards. And we are starting out with one hell of a flavorful card. Bake into a pie. Honestly, I am loving the whimsical nature of these Throne of Eldraine spoilers. This is both dark and whimsical and kind of silly overall. So I'm totally digging it. So what do we got here? 2 black, 2 colors for an instant. Destroy target creature. Create a food token. The flavor text says, my secret ingredient? Well, I can't tell you that, but here's a hint. It's not love. Oh my God. This is the idea of a witch baking, like normally it's like Hansel and Gretel bake you into a pie, but this is used as a creature destruction spell. You literally bake one of your opponent's creatures into a pie. Oh my God. I mean, sure, it's not quite Vraska's contempt level, but on a flavor level, it's amazing. You can see the witch here with this giant baker's paddle, ladling or paddling, I suppose, this gigantic pie into the oven. And you can see the hand of some beast that's trying to escape it. That's a big pie. And you can see that the oven is ready to go. You can see the heat radiating out of it. You can see all the knickknacks and curios inside of this darkened witch's home. Honestly, what kind of magic does it take? Are these creatures paralyzed and then baked into the pie while they're still aware, while they're still cognizant of what's going on? Is the paralysis starting to wear off to a degree where this creature is able to reach one of its hands feebly up out of the pie? I also love the amount of effort that's put into making what looks like quite a tasty pie. If you didn't see the little, I don't know, gorilla, ogre hand, whatever it is, reaching up out of the pie, you might think to yourself, well, now this looks delicious. This looks like a nice cozy scene. But I mean, when you take into account the little hand popping out of it and the witch that's shoving this into the oven, it takes on a much darker tone. So I like the dark whimsy of this. This is very, very cool. There are some very cool black creature kill spells in Eldraine, honestly. I really enjoy the entire concept of this. It's super fantastic. Let's move on to the next card. We've got Corvold, Fey Cursed King. This is 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, and 2 colorless for a 4/4 flying dragon noble. And I love that they brought back the noble creature type. We actually had it all the way back in the beginning of Magic with Fairy Noble. So it's pretty dope to see it return, in all honesty. I'm glad that it's back. I wonder if they're going to errata old creature types for this? Probably. I imagine they will. So he is 4/4 flying. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. Flavor text says, transformed at his own wedding, he promptly ate the banquet, the gifts, and the guests. Oh, dude! I never knew the flavor behind this. I saw this in arena games, because this is actually one of the brawl deck leaders. This is one of the brawl deck commanders. And you can see this very regal looking dragon kind of sitting up. He's sitting up like a human, right? Like a lot of dragons are shown down on all fours. He is shown in a more humanoid style positioning, which makes sense for a human who's been transformed into a dragon. You can see the tapestries and banners hanging down. This must have been the royal hall within which he lived originally, right? He's a king, so this is his kingly estate. He's still behaving like a king. His horns on his head pretty much look like a crown. You've got the banners flapping in the wind. You have like red velvety looking cloth draped across him. You have all of these individuals knelt just worshiping him. There's a big chest of treasure. The chest of treasure is a good representation of you getting to draw a card off the sacrifice. The fact that he just grows with all of these sacrifices to him. The concept of him being a king who was cursed by the Fae on his own wedding. I mean, Alanis Morissette sings about awful wedding days. This is a step up. I love the flavor of it. He's turned into a dragon at his wedding and proceeds to just eat everything. He is just king of gluttony. Man, how very, very cool and very, very fairy tale feeling. I loved it. This artwork is fantastic. It almost looks like the dude who's standing in the background is almost offering these other people up as tribute to Corvold. This is cool, honestly. You could see him rampaging around the countryside, demanding tribute from everyone in his dragon form. That's dope. Next up, we have a turtle Hydra! A turtle Hydra! Teenage Mutant Ninja Hydra's gonna bash your artifacts. Suck my turtle. Oh my god, I love the Steel Bane Hydra. A Hydra combined with a turtle! I love it, dude. 2 green and X. It comes into the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Pay a green and 2 colors. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Steel Bane Hydra. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. This is going in my big green tower. This is definitely going in my big green tower. The flavor text says, many an ancient treasure has been reduced to jagged caltrops by its snapping jaws. They're snapping turtles. Oh god, it's got snapping turtle heads and they're smashing artifacts. You can actually even see in one of the mouths of the Hydra, it's got an enchanted blade that's being chucked apart there, just chomped down. It may be, actually no, never mind. It looks like an enchanted spear, not an enchanted sword. I did not notice the glowing fragments of it that are down by this Hydra's feet. Oh my god, and the flavor text is a home run. Many an ancient treasure has been reduced to jagged caltrops by its snapping jaws. Dude, that's amazing. Tiny little bits of metal that will just ruin your feet underneath. He's doing the fantasy version of Lego. You ever stepped on Lego in bare feet? Brutal, just brutal. But I love this. I love this four-headed Hydra kind of coming out of the murky gloom of a swamp, just smashing up a heavily enchanted lance like it's nothing. Yeah, bro, that's awesome. You can see some knight trying to face this down and just getting wrecked. And the fact that it's repeatable enchantment and artifact removal, because you can do one for each of the counters on it, and there's a way to grow them with proliferate and everything. I love this. And he's going to combine awesome with Gargos. Gargos says, yeah, baby, yeah. After that, we got Mace of the Valiant. This is an interesting piece of equipment. 1 white, 2 colorless. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each charge counter on Mace of the Valiant and has vigilance. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on Mace of the Valiant, and it equips for 3. Honestly, it's expensive to put out, and it's expensive to equip. It's going to cost you 6 mana to get it out and to equip it, but overall, it seems very solid. The flavor on it is not really transmitted through the artwork. Admittedly, there is nothing to indicate why this would be, like, why does this mace grow in power? Is it because of a collective belief of people? Actually, I find the mace to be funky looking, but what I find far more striking is the stand that's holding it. And I love the idea of enchanted items floating above a pedestal where you just kind of reach out and there be maybe some kind of magical force that'll blast you backwards when you grasp for it. Maybe this mace rejects everyone but the Valiant. And the design of the walls, the pillars that are behind it, and also the black void behind the mace, it's so well framed. The curving pillars around the mace, the blackness behind it and the glow coming up from underneath it really serve to highlight this mace. And it's got like kind of a weird hole in the middle. I could picture this glowing stronger as more people believe in the wielder of it, or actually they believe in the mace itself, because the power of the mace, does it draw on a bit of each person's soul? Dude, that's a funky card. And obviously with some kind of token setup, it would be pretty gross. Next thing we're going to talk about is Embereth Paladins. For those of you who don't know, there are different kingdoms, different areas in the world of Eldraine based on different ideals. Embereth is the land of virtuous combat. So 1 red, 3 colorless for a 4/1 human knight with haste. He's got adamant. If at least 3 red mana was spent to cast his spell, he enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. So you actually get a 5/2. The flavor text says, the king would die for the realm. I would not hesitate to do the same for him. Now that is some hardcore loyalty. And you take a look at the artwork, and I love this. Look at his steed. His steed is like a dragon or a lizard beast. Dude, when you read the Throne of Eldraine books, you will find there is a whole wide range of different mounts. There are people riding elks and stags, people riding bears, weird like double-headed goats. There's all kinds of fantastical beasts. And I love that. I love the idea of not riding something as mundane as a horse. I love the colorful nature of this paladin's armor, the big flowing red cape. He looks very noble, and his sword looks incredible. His sword looks like it's on fire, just flaming, and he's just got it like slung back on his shoulder like it ain't no thing. He is shown in, this is a non-action scene where he is shown ready for action, but also just kind of relaxing. He looks pretty awesome, in all honesty. The card itself, not the most powerful card. I mean, this is obviously, this is your draft kind of stuff right here. This is a draft card, but the flavor on it is on point. After that, we've got Savvy Hunter. 1 black, 1 green, 1 colorless for a 3/3 human warrior. Whenever Savvy Hunter attacks or blocks, create a food token. Flavor text says, none of the other villagers dare venture into the wilds, so she feeds the whole hamlet herself. Man, that's pretty pimp. It also explains why you can, like, look at how effective she is. She has like some sort of antelope or elk slung over her back. Hanging from that, she has multiple other animals. You've got a rabbit on one side, and I'm not honestly sure what's on the left-hand side. It's easier to see sometimes when the artwork is bigger. But either way, you see her coming out of this kind of gloomy, glowing forest with all these branches underfoot with green glowing moats. There's a lot of mystical energy in this forest. It seems like the kind of place where people would get lost. So the idea of her being the only one brave enough to head out there and coming back, it just speaks to her level of bravery. She's all kitted out. She's got a ton of gear on her belt. You can see the axe for hacking her way through the underbrush. She's got pouches and things like that. You would assume she has bait, also the ropes needed to tie us together. But I really like the additional note of her having the rabbit and other animals hanging off of either end of this beast she has slung over her shoulders. Although admittedly, it feels like she should have create more than, oh no, you know what? She creates a food token every time she attacks or blocks. So every interaction equals her catching an animal. Never mind. The whole flavor ties together quite nicely. She looks very, very impressive. And after that, we've got a card I desperately want for my green tower. We have Keeper of Fables. 2 green, 3 colors for a 4/5. Whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Okay, I read this the first time and thought it was for each creature, so not quite as powerful as I thought he was going to be, but still, he lets you draw cards for smacking with non-human creatures, and I have very few humans in my green tower deck, so I'm looking forward to this. The flavor text says, only the lion knows more stories than I do, and that's Kulan, Teller of Tales. I think that's how you say his name. Anyhow, the idea behind this cat, it looks like this cat is made of like almost complete nature, right? Like this looks like an elemental cat. This looks like he is made out of leaves and vines. He's got these crazy viney tentacles coming off of him. It honestly gives me kind of a Princess Mononoke vibe with the nature of this mystical beast out in the forest. And mystical wise beasts that exist in the forest, that does have a very fairy tale feel to it. So this is a night, this card fits in nicely, and it's just shown in repose in kind of an idyllic forest setup. There is nothing threatening feeling about this cat, but you can see by looking at its stats that it is a brute. It's 4/5. So this thing is a beefcake, but people seek it out for knowledge the same way you would seek out like a sphinx on other worlds. And it does kind of have that sphinx's feeling of quiet restfulness to it. There's a thoughtfulness to the artwork. I like it. After that, we have a card specifically designed for Brawl and Commander with incredible artwork. It's called Tome of Legends. 2 colorless. It is an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, you put a page counter on it. Whenever your commander enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to put another page counter on it. Pay 1 mana, remove a page counter from Tome of Legends, draw a card. This is really cheap card draw, honestly. That's amazing. Now, obviously, you can only use it when you're playing Commander in most cases, although technically, that's not true. You could theoretically just play it as paying 3 mana to get a card, right? And to have an artifact maybe to hand off with Oko or something. But overall, this is something that's going to be favored in Commander. I like the way this is set up, where you can see it surrounded in somebody's library. There are piles of books on either side. You can see candles in the background. You've got a quill on one side. You've got little vials of ink on the other. The top of the book, it kind of looks like it's painted onto the book, but it also actually looks like the tome is opening up. It almost looks like it's been bored into, like there is a hole inside of it, and you could reach inside of it, get sucked inside the Tome of Legends. You can actually see the legends. Instead of like reading it and just seeing them on the page, you can actually see things come to life, almost like a little mini television. And it's such a thick tome too. How much would be contained within it? Inside, you can see a noble rider charging forwards on what looks to be a giant white stag. And who knows, maybe they're going to charge directly out of the book. How flavorfully cool is that, my friends? This is fantastic. After that, we've got Sir Gwen. I assume this is supposed to be like Gawain, I assume. Hero of Ashvale. 3 colorless, 1 red, 1 white, 1 black. This is from one of the Brawl decks as well. The Brawl deck that I actually played the most, which was the Knight deck. So, a 5/5 legendary human knight with vigilance and menace. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and you lose a life. And equipment you control have equip knight 0. So when you have this creature out, you can equip all of your equipment to knights for free. Absolutely fantastic. Flavor text says, squires throughout the realm aspire to her mix of panache and martial prowess. Well, that's understandable. I mean, you look at the way she's charging forwards on this horse here with crazy glowing red eyes, striking such a cutting figure with the big white cape billowing out as she's just ripping, like the way that the horse is angled to the side, it makes this piece feel like the horse is charging very quickly, and also the horse is very in tune with the rider's commands, what the rider wants, because it's leaning sideways while Gwen leads out the side of the horse with the flaming blade ready. And the way the flames are curving back like that makes it seem like the sword's in motion right now. Like basically the horse is charging forwards at heavy speed, leaning sideways while Gwen leans sideways, and she's whipping forth that flame blade, and the flames are trailing behind it. So this is probably from the view of someone who is about to be cut down by her. And you can see why she would have menace. How are you supposed to stop somebody this intense? This is some sick flavor, honestly. This is well transmitted and a fun card. Honestly, this is King Cube right here. Not King Cube, we renamed it. It's Perp Cube now. Moving on, we've got Workshop Elders. This is the final card we're going to talk about today before we do our moving the guilds for 19K. 1 blue, 6 colorless for a 4/4 human artificer. Artifact creatures you control have flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target non-creature artifact you control become a 0/0 artifact creature. If you do, put 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Fear not what's under the bed. The toys are watching. Beyond the Great Henge. Oh, that's fun. So Beyond the Great Henge, I know what that is now from reading the novel. So that's actually a place in Eldraine. These are not real world quotes as I had once considered. So in the artwork, you can see two kindly looking old ladies who are smiling as they're old bird ladies. Instead of feeding the pigeons, they're turning artifacts into their own crazy contraption pigeons. And you can see the one in the forefront has 4 wings and kind of a crazy snapping dragon's tail. This feels akin to a Pinocchio-esque kind of story, where it's like you've got these individuals who are able to breathe life into the unliving. It gives me a Pinocchio feel, and honestly, I don't know, it's this cozy little like, oh, look at those two kindly old ladies, and then all of a sudden you have like these massive toys just descending down upon you. And I like the fact that every single turn they're just constantly busily working, making more of these. It doesn't cost you anything. It just keeps cranking your artifacts. You could create food tokens and they could turn them into flying pies of doom! I love that idea. So, my friends, we return to me and the mystery. So before we move the guilds, let us talk about what's going on tonight. I have a live stream going on tonight, my friends, and it is going to be the 19K celebration live stream. And I have, for our enjoyment, a box of Ravnica, a box of War, and a box of Core 2020. So what we're going to do is similar to what we've done in the past. We're going to have pack battles where we open packs, everybody gets to compete. We will see who gets the best rare. Now we're going to do it by value and flavor. So for the first time ever, we are going to have a booster battle event where there will be 2 categories of winner. Somebody who wins based on value and somebody who wins based on flavor. Obviously judged by yours truly. I've been having a lot of fun with the flavor, and some of these sets didn't get as much of the flavor appreciation as they could have, so it's a great chance to appreciate the flavor of the cards as well. Now I mentioned there was something else, and it's right here inside this sack. See how it's all green like that? Actually, it may not show up properly because of the green screen, but this is a green screen suit, all freshly laundered and ready to go, which means we are going to debut the Green Man suit tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of a lot of fun, I actually released a video on my second channel that is very, very funny, dealing with a bunch of potato chips. It's a good time. So I will link that video below. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, as well as joining my Discord so that you know when the live stream is going on tonight, because I announce all of my live streams in the Discord. If you enjoyed the video and you want to help it out, make sure to like and comment, because YouTube loves that stuff in the algorithm. Now, I know it's new for me to bring all this stuff up, but I know you guys enjoy the channel, and I've decided to take it just a tiny bit more seriously in terms of trying to give it some growth. So I figure by mentioning this stuff, it gives people the opportunity to subscribe, like, and comment if they so choose. It is not required. But all that being said, let us go and move the guilds. All right, here we are. We're going to move the Grawl. The Grawl. These guys represent us hitting 19K. The group of friends has grown. So here we go. Look at that. We will move the final guild when we hit 20K. Thanks for being here, my friends. And if you like this big pile of games here, I encourage you, go ahead, check out my other channel, because that's where we're going to open all this fun goodness. Papa's got a lot of games. And remember, together, we are the 6th color of magic.